fellow Daz Studio enthusiasts. This is not from this world, and I want to thank you for joining me on my tutorial series. First of all, I just want to say I'm sorry for not posting. I usually post on Fridays, but life has been busy, and I've also been playing a little bit with Blender, going down that rabbit hole. And in the future, I hope to have tutorials about Blender and Daz and how to use both together, so I'm pretty excited about that. But in the meantime, let's get into our new tutorial. So today I want to talk about volumetric lighting, creating dust and God rays. So in other words, beams of light that are coming down through a window. It's a really cool effect, and it's actually very easy to do. Now, before we begin with the tutorial, I want to always show you that you can purchase these God rays. And with Daz Studio, there's several different types, which is pretty cool. I've tried a couple of them, and they have some really good effects, but you can kind of see the prices. You know, they are ranging somewhere between $8 and $30. This one's a little bit more, $35. But you can also purchase these add-ons if you would like, and do this, I guess, a lot easier. The one that I tried had some different features, and it worked really well, actually. So I was pretty pleased with it. So unfortunately, I can't really show you my picture, but this is one of the renders that I created using a God ray. You can see some really nice beams of light coming down from the ceiling. So I have a scene set up here with Milika, of course, and she is sitting on a bed. If I go to a different camera view, we'll see that she is sitting on her bed. We're going to put her in a bedroom. I already have the scene kind of set up where I have the bed the way I like it. I have her posed. I have her D-Force 90 simulated. So everything is set up except for the bedroom itself. And the bedroom I chose to do is this GB bedroom that's empty. So we're going to go ahead and load this in and then pose it. I chose this bedroom because it does have some windows, and so when you make these God ray beams of light, you want some windows so that the light is shining through the window into the bedroom or into whatever room that you have your scene set up. And so this GB bedroom does have some windows, so I'm going to go ahead and add this bedroom into the scene. I do have another camera that's kind of out to show you a bird's eye view of what I'm doing. So I have my bedroom in, and I deleted the ceiling, mostly because the ceiling had some built-in lights that just isn't going to work for this. We also need to go in and add a spotlight. So I'm going to go ahead and add a spotlight. Now with the spotlight, I'm going to position it so it's peering through the window. Now, as I pose, I want to get my camera through the window, but if I go to the spotlight, you're going to see that I have it positioned so that it's not just shining straight through the window. We don't want that with these beams of light, with these God rays. We want to have the window partially blocking the spotlight for greater effect. So if I go back to my camera, when we do an iRay preview, we're going to see that the beam of light is going to be shining through the window but partially blocked. What's cool about God rays is that you want a huge contrast between light and dark in the room. And so I want Milika to be the focal point of the scene. And I think I'm probably going to render her with two cameras. This one, kind of a close-up. And then to really show you what God rays can do, this view here. Okay, so once I have my scene set up and I've got this spotlight in the position that I like it, what I need to do is get rid of any other light that's coming in. So if you look at my menu here, I don't have any other lights except for this one spotlight. And in my scene, there should be no lights. So if I go to my camera and I do an iRay preview, what's interesting is I have lots of light. And so this is because of the way my render settings is set up. So I'm going to go back to the texture shaded. And what I need to do is I need to go to my render settings, click all, and then I need to come down to my environment mode. And it's set to dome and scene. What I need to do is select scene only. And when I select scene only, now when I do my iRay preview, it should be only showing that spotlight. And it is. Okay, so you can see I'm getting a nice kind of contrast between dark and light. When you select your spotlight, go to the parameters, hit the light, go to area, make sure you select rectangle, and then under photometrics, we're going to raise it. And I created this spotlight at 150,000, and so that helps. And then if I click on the light, we can play with these different settings. So I can mess with the intensity. So you can see if I raise the intensity to like 200, we're going to get an even more kind of set of contrast. I'm going to drop it down to 100, at least for now. We can play with this kind of when we do the rendering. And then, of course, I can change my height and width. And if I do this, it's going to change the amount of shadow that's in here. So just for an example, the height is set at 10. If I raise this, let's say to 50, you can see it's going to kind of change our shadows. I notice that the width, if I change it from 10 up to 50, watch, it's really going to change my shadows. See, the shadows become very diffused. And, you know, I kind of like this setting at 10, at least for my render that I'm doing. But you've got to play with the settings, get it how you like it. All right, so we can see that we've got this nice spotlight shining through the window, but we've got some nice shadows. Now we're going to create a cube, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn this cube into a prop that's going to diffuse the light. So what I'm going to do is, it doesn't matter what size it is or anything like that, but what we need to do is we need to take this new cube and we just need to scale it up so it engulfs our entire room. And just because I'm OCD, I'm going to rotate it. I don't even know if that's very necessary, but we're going to do it anyway. And so we're going to engulf the room. Now, this is a solid object, so we have to do some manipulations before we can actually get light to pass through it. So once you get your cube in place, make sure it's selected, go to the Surface tab, and then select your cube. Now, there are a few things that we're going to change and then kind of play with and manipulate to get the beams of light that we really like. So under the Surface tab, we're going to change a few things. First of all, we don't want any reflections. So as you scroll down, you're going to see a couple of things. You're going to see the glossy layer or glossy layered weight. We want to take that and drop it to 0. That is going to get rid of reflections. And then we're also going to take this glossy reflectivity, and it's defaulted at 0.5. We're going to drop it to 0. So there's no reflection at all in our cube. Next, we're going to go to the refraction index. It's defaulted at 1.5. We're going to drop that down to 1. So we want a lower refraction. So the light coming through the cube is going to be refracted a little bit less. It's going to be bent a little bit less. Then our refraction weight, we want to take that weight and we want to raise it to 1. And you'll notice that my cube just disappeared. All right. Then as we scroll down, we're going to have a few other things that we're going to change. But before we do that, let's go back to our camera. And I'm going to put this in iRay mode. And you're going to see that we're not going to have a whole lot happening. We're going to have that same kind of picture that we had when we previewed before we even put the cube in. And so the next step is to take this thin walled in the cube and turn it off. And then I'm going to scroll down, and we have a few options here. It says scattering, measurement distance, SS amount, and SS direction. First of all, let's take this SS amount, and we want a low value in there, something around like 0.06 or 0.07. So I'm going to select that. And you'll notice that we just get a black screen now. But I'm going to take our scattering measurement distance, and this is probably the most important dial. We want to raise this up. So I'm going to raise it, first of all, let's raise it to something like 10. And you're going to notice we're starting to get some light in. So we want this probably greater than 50. So if I choose 50, you can see now I'm starting to get light going through that cube, and it's being diffused. We're getting this nice God ray, the sunbeam coming down. All right. And then with the SS direction, we want to play with the SS direction anywhere between negative 0.5. So you can see that kind of changes the brightness up to about 0.5. I think it goes only up to 1 to begin with. So you've got to kind of play with that. But you can see that we're now getting some beams of light coming through. Now we can also go back to our spotlight. And if we go to the parameters tab with the spotlight, we can change things like the light's intensity. We can change the spread angle. So say if I take this spread angle, it's set at 10. If I put it at 50, it's really gonna kind of flatten out the light. But then if I go to something like a spread angle of 5, you can see that we have a brighter, more focused light. It kind of looks like Milika is angelic. You know, like there's a beam of light just shining on her, which she is an angel, but we probably don't want that much spread angle. So I'm going to go back to something around 10. I think that looks pretty good. And then our light intensity, we can play with that. Right now I have it set at about 76. But, you know, if we raise it to 100, we're going to have, of course, more bright lights. And so we just have to play around with this. Another thing that we can do is change the color of the light, of course. And so if I wanted to make it more yellow, we can do that. Or, you know, I can go into my color palette and just choose a different color. And, you know, we can play with that. I think for my render today, I'm going to stick with white. I think that looks pretty nice. And so I can change my camera view. Let's go to my third camera. Just see, kind of a little bright. I like that. Milika's just so cute. It's hard to not make her the center of the scene. Okay, I'm going to go back to my distance camera, and I'm pretty satisfied with this right now. It might need a little more post work or something, but I think I'm going to get out of my iRay mode, go back to texture. Let's open this up and let's do a render. This render will probably take a little bit longer because it is so dark. But remember, when we're doing these beams of light, we want really a lot of contrast between that light and dark. And so it's important to get a nice contrast, but this render is probably going to take a little bit longer. Even with the light and dark, we may get those fireflies in there. So when we get to the render settings, you can play around with the render settings if you need to, trying to get a little bit better render. But for right now, I think I'm just going to leave this the way it is, and let's run a render, see what happens. Okay, so here's my finished product. You can see pretty nice job without purchasing anything. Made this God Ray by scratch. Pretty happy with the results. Here's the second picture. Again, pretty happy with it. So, this is just another way to enhance your renders, make some cool lighting effects, and draw some attention to the figure you want, perhaps in the center of your scene. All right, so that'll about do it. I really appreciate your patronage, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and give me a comment. I really appreciate all of you subscribers. I want to say thank you. I'm approaching 800, which is really nice. I never really thought my little channel would do so well, but I'm going to continue to try and help you out with Daz Studio. And until next time, I'll see you later.